Good evening, everybody. Okay, I've been following the chat for a while now. It's incredible how many people have shown up again. I let me real quick because I'm super paranoid. There we go. That should be turned off. Okay, you should hear me well and you should see me well. Let me just get this picture a little bit brighter. There we go. You can even wait a second. Look at this. There we go. Now you don't have to see that nasty light in the background. Okay. Welcome to the Starlink 6 launch stream. Epic night. Another 60 Starlink satellites. It's just amazing, and they're gonna pass all right over my head tonight. So I've got a little special for you. We'll try to make it happen. It's one of those first tries. So we'll see how it works. I'm gonna take you outside with the camera, and we're gonna actually try to see the Starlink satellites pass over Europe after deployment. Well, we'll see how it works. I can't promise anything right now, so we'll try to make it happen. But it's a pretty cool idea because they'll just pass right over our head, and I should be able to take a microphone with me and the camera, and so I'll be streaming from the phone in the backyard. So you'll see me walk through my house and basically go to see the Starlink satellites tonight. So that should be fun. Yeah, thanks all for showing up. It's incredible. Again, people from all over the world are in that chat, and it's amazing every time. It's just absolutely fantastic from where people come. It's everywhere. Absolutely awesome. Should even be this time. It should even be something for the Australians. Should be early in the morning in Australia, like really early in the morning, but maybe with a early morning coffee. I know some Australians are here, so that should work. This morning I had an interview with Peter Beck from Rocket Lab. It was 10 in the morning my time, and it was 8 in the evening his time, so that was tough, but we managed, and it was an awesome interview, and it should be out tomorrow, so look forward to that. That should be awesome. Look at the chat racing, everybody. Nice. Thank you for showing up. It should be an awesome people posting times there. Yeah, it's incredible. That's the best proof you can give all the flat earthers. For this thing is not flat. Look at those times in there. It is definitely not flat. Sweden, Italy, United States, of course, Argentina, somebody from Germany, very cool. Oh no, this is Rex said that I live in Germany, like in the middle of Europe. Thanks for the super chat, Jarg. Love the daily updates on Starship. By the way, can we see satellites from the Netherlands? You should be able to see the satellites from the Netherlands, depending on where you are. Maybe the moderators could put the link that I posted on our Discord. Maybe if once the chat goes a little bit slower, some of the moderators or one of the moderators could put the link out of the map where you can actually see where the satellites will pass over. So they're going into an elliptical orbit that is basically, it crosses Hawaii, it crosses the Gulf of Mexico, and then it continues towards Europe. And since they are starting from Cape Canaveral, they're going straight over the Atlantic Ocean and then pass right over Europe. And so we should, in theory, be able to see them tonight. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to take hit the camera. We're going to take this guy here. We're going to take it outside, and I'll mic myself up, and it should work, but we'll have to wait and see how it does. And how you can hear me, but yeah, we'll see how it works. It's all a little short notice. My wife actually had the idea, why don't you take the guys outdoors? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll try that. So we'll see how it works. If it doesn't work, you'll have 10 minutes of off time on the stream, but I'll be back. And if you're in Europe, if you're anywhere in the trajectory, it's awesome to see the Starlink train pass over your head. I've seen it before, and it's pretty epic, especially after launch. The first 2-3 days after launch are really, really epic. Lionel, thank you for the super chat. That's much appreciated. From Seattle. Very nice. Thank you. That is awesome. Okay. Let me just see something here real quick. Yeah, what was the music? That's the question that always comes up. Give me a second. I'll just try to put that into the description. I should really get used to putting that information into the description every time because people seem to love the music. You can even find it on YouTube, I think. I bought the rights, and it wasn't cheap, but I wanted good music, so should be in here, and it isn't, and it isn't in there. It maybe is in there. Give me a second. There we go. Music. So the song that's playing before as an intro to the streams is Allegiance by Dvine. So Allegiance by Dvine. I'll put that into the chat. Allegiance by Dvine. That should be the song title. So that's the first answer to any question today. And I might just put all the... I was thinking about doing that for episodes as well, because I get those questions constantly from people asking what kind of music I play in the background. I have one of those rights libraries where you pay monthly, and I could use other tracks, but I fell in love with these 5 songs, and I play them over and over. Maybe at one point I'll change. Once people start saying in the comments that the music is really annoying, I might. But for now, that's I love Allegiance. That's a good song, definitely. Thanks for the super chat, Herb. Very nice. Glad to see you too. Okay. People were wondering before why SpaceX's stream was set so early. They should have been online for the past hour or so. It's always like that. Somebody at SpaceX has a lot of fun with the stream times every time. They also had stream times that were like 2 hours after launch. So don't give too much on when they plan to go online. It's always kind of not correct at all. So the launch should be, let me really quick enter the launch time and turn on the countdown here. That should be the countdown clock. There you go. So that's how much we've got left to the launch, and then that should be rather correct, more correct definitely than the SpaceX stream time. All right, give me a second. Gotta switch back to the chat. Another super chat from Wes. Thank you, from Roswell, New Mexico. That is awesome. That is Alien Town, isn't it? Very nice. Thank you very much for the super chat. Do you believe in the aliens? Do you believe in the story? You're a local, so that is an interesting question. I want to believe. Stuttgart, thanks for showing up. Michigan, USA. Norway, South Africa, Canada, Costa Rica, go SpaceX. I agree. So today, to just give you a little bit heads up on what we actually, most of you will know, but a little summary on today's launch. It's Starlink launch number 6, and it is, let me just check something here. I have some notes here. It is... where do I have it? So this will be the booster's 4th flight and the 35th flight, the 35th time that SpaceX has launched a previously flown first stage booster. That is pretty impressive. And I think it is... I have that written down somewhere. They're reusing a fairing today for the first time that they caught with one of the ships. So the reused fairings before they always fell into the water, and this time there's actually the first time that they're reusing one that was actually caught by a ship. That is an interesting fact as well. And I think with today's launch, the Falcon 9 is the most flown rocket at least in the United States. It's taking the trophy from the Atlas V today. In the world, that would be, I think, Soyuz, but Soyuz has went through a lot of iterations over time, and normally people when you look at the Soyuz stats, it's one stat for all the different iterations of the rocket, which is, well, it's all a Soyuz rocket, but today's Soyuz rocket I think it doesn't have a single part from, well, a few parts it has, but it's changed vastly over time. So, but SpaceX is taking that trophy from the Atlas V, which is an epic thing as well. More super chats. Thank you very much, TG Goose from Denver, Colorado. Thank you very much. And we have Otto Kak from Slovenia. I probably butchered the name. I'm sorry. but thank you very much for the super chat. Let me just check something real quick again. I'm having, there we go. From Roswell, that's really, really awesome. And another super chat from Pete. Thank you very much. That is much appreciated. I should check something real quick because I have trouble with the monetization setups on my streams like every single time, and I want to check something real quick. Give me a second. Still haven't figured out the streaming after like 10 streams. Yeah, it says it always does that. Okay, if anybody knows how to monetize a live stream, please tell me. Because the super chats, basically, for all the live streams I've done so far, the super chats have been the only way for me to actually get some money for it. Because somehow the stupid settings for the monetization always say that that my content is not appropriate. I don't know why, but they always do that, and they did it again, and I don't know why, but that's how it is. Thank you for the super chats. Hi from the Discord, Stefan. Thank you for the super chat. That's one of my patrons, and he's also on the Discord right now, which is always pretty full when I do a rocket live stream and everybody's chatting. So if you choose to become a patron on the channel, you get access to the Discord. It's $1 per month. It's basically to keep the trolls out, and there's always a little launch party going on there on the Discord, which I can never be part of because I'm always doing the streams, and later on people tell me how fun it was. So that's always cool. We have a few questions coming in here. Let me just go through these real quick. Okay, so the first one from Lonely, I've already answered that. I don't know because it's really, really hard for me to watch the chat. So I hope that one of the moderators has put out the link. There you go. Oh, no, that's a Patreon link. If you can, put out the link for the map again so everybody can see that. There's a website where you can look at a map, what the trajectory for today's Starlink satellites actually is, so you can see where they pass over. So if you're in Europe right now, especially Central Europe, and coming in from the Netherlands, going over Germany and all the way through Austria and then way down, you'll be able to see the Starlink satellites tonight, like roughly half an hour after launch. So because 15 minutes after launch above the Atlantic Ocean, there's the separation occurring, and roughly another 15 minutes later, you should be able to see them in Europe, which should be rather awesome. And so if you can, you should go outside, leave my stream, go outside after the launch because it's really worth it. And if you can't, like I said before, I'm going to take this camera here, I'm going to take it outside with a microphone, and I'm going to try to show you the Starlink satellites passing over my house, which I don't know if it's going to work, of course, because it's a cell phone, and I don't know how good the low light settings are, but it should be possible. And so I'm going to try it. I'm going to run down the stairs with you and show you my backyard, and then we'll try to catch the Starlink satellites together. We have another super chat from Happy Hacking Video Blog. Thank you very much. Will this be our 4th or 5th flight for this booster? It's the 4th flight for this booster. First mission was Demo Mission 1, and then it did 2 more missions, and today is the 4th one. I even have it written down somewhere here. I don't... first flight. Okay, there we go. First flight was Crew Dragon Demo Mission 1. The second flight was Radar Set. So the first one was in March 5th, 2019. The second one was June 12th, 2019 with Radar Set. The third one was on January 29th, 2020. So this year, that was Starlink launch number 3. And then comes Starlink launch number 6. That is today. So it's got... so today it's going to do its 4th launch. They're going to do a recovery, of course. Of course, I Still Love You is on the ocean and downrange, and that's where it's going to land, hopefully. And they're going to try a fairing catch attempt, as always, or as most of the time. And like I said before, today's fairing, one of the halves from today's fairing fell into the water, they recovered it and refurbished it. And the second one was actually the first one they ever reused that was caught in a net. And for those who do not know, these fairing halves are $3 million each a piece. So it makes a lot of sense to catch them, and that's why SpaceX is trying it. And most of the time, or half of the time, they succeed. And that was my phone, and I'm gonna give me a second. Try to set that to a more quiet setting if I can. Should be able to. There we go. There we go. Okay. So yeah, the fairing halves are reused today, and the special thing about it is that one of them never saw the water, so it's a perfect recovery. They did one on one of the fairing halves, and yeah, they should be able to catch it again. Just give me a second. I've got something strange going on here. 1 second. Can you hear me? Can you clearly hear me? Because my stream is behaving really badly right now. I'm getting messages from YouTube that the stream is really poor, but in the preview it looks absolutely fantastic. That's why I'm kind of a little bit irritated right now. So if you could tell me in the stream, yeah, yes, everything's fine. Okay, so I won't bother with the notification that YouTube gives me. It says it's crap and everything is bad, but it kind of looks perfect in the preview. So yeah, perfect. Thank you. I got it. Thank you very much. Okay, let me continue with a few more questions if you've got some. Devon Santos. Musk read questions. What plans do you think Elon Musk is cooking up to deal with artificial gravity? Has Elon thought about any other workarounds regarding fuel weight for next Starship prototypes? So artificial gravity is a problem. You can achieve that by spinning objects, and you'll produce well, it's not gravity, and that's the problem. If you're too close to the center of the spinning, you'll have something that is very comparable to seasickness. You'll get motion sick real quick, and so the artificial gravity is a problem. But you're probably referring to starships traveling to Mars, and the trip to Mars is 3 to 6 months. That is not that long. Especially on the ISS, they've been doing a lot of research on how to counter low gravity, and they've improved over time. So today, low gravity on the ISS is almost no problem anymore because they've improved the training equipment that they exercise with every day. They've done subtle changes to it, and now it works really, really well. So it shouldn't be a problem on the trip to Mars, the 3 to 6 months, but it should be a problem on Mars. I've had that on my celebration stream. I had a similar question. I think that is a much bigger concern, because even the minimum stay on Mars would be 1.5 years, and so that could be a problem. And it's much harder to produce artificial gravity on Mars because you would need a large facility that spins around itself, and that would be really hard to manufacture. So there is nothing really they can do about that. And you had a second part to the question. Elon thought about any other workarounds regarding fuel weight for next Starship prototypes. You mean the structural problem they had with serial number 3? First of all, it was a human error. So the test setup was wrong. The lower tank wasn't pressurized, and Elon stated that many people have compared it to I think it was I even had it on my episode. I think it was an Atlas rocket that collapsed under its own weight because the tanks. Somebody in the chat will probably correct me if I'm wrong. That collapsed under its own weight because the tanks weren't pressurized, and it's a similar thing. It's not exactly the same that happened with Starship, but Elon Musk replied on Twitter that's obviously the case, that Starship is structurally sound without any fuel. So if you pressurize the tanks properly, Vanguard, exactly. Thank you. It wasn't an Atlas. I'm not too sure. Well, it doesn't matter. If you watch my episode, you can even see the video of the rocket just collapsing like this, similar to the Starship test candidate. But it is structural sound without any fuel inside, and if you properly pressurize the tanks, it shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't even be a problem with payload on top and a full nose cone. So that is a big shouldn't, because we haven't seen it yet. But Elon said they're working on it, and it shouldn't be a problem. So that's all we can say about that right now. We can say it's early prototyping. So whenever they have a mistake, whenever there is a failure occurring, they are learning from that, and that's how you do it in a prototype phase. So it was even though we all didn't like it, it was a good thing that it happened. And now they know that doing a wrong test setup can end in a very spectacular collapse of a Starship. So there's nothing official yet. If there are going to be any improvements, the only thing that happened was Elon with his tweet, and he said that it is structurally sound without the propellant, and if you do it correctly, it shouldn't be a problem. So there we go. That's all we know from officially from SpaceX so far. Max Bellows is asking, how often do you use that telescope in the back? That's a reoccurring question. I do in summer and when I'm not a YouTuber. The problem is that my YouTube channel consumes a lot of time. I work 6.5 days a week right now to organize interviews, to edit episodes, to get everything straight. The community is growing more and more, and I'm restructuring things, and there's always something to do. So right now, I sadly don't have too much time to use the telescope. I plan to do it in summer again when it's a bit warmer outside, because you have to align the telescope, and even setting it up takes an hour. So in winter, when it's minus degrees outside, it's not really a nice. I mean, you can, but you'll be frosty after a while. So I normally, anyway, just did it in summer. And right now I have a lot of stuff to do with that YouTube channel. It's growing really, really fast, surprisingly fast. And I have another big hobby, which is paramotoring. I'm one of those people with the propeller in the back and the chute above. And I haven't done that in 1.5 years now. And that's really, really sad, because I would love to. But like I said, even that, it takes a lot of time to set up the equipment, to go out in the field and all that kind of. I'm missing the time right now. But I'm still actively looking for an editor, and if at one point I find that editor, I will have a little bit more time, and then I'll probably use the telescope again. Yes, because it's I'm not an astrophotographer. I'm a visual astronomer, so I look through the eyepiece and I want to see the things with my own eyes, and it actually changes the way you look at space when you see it on your own, when you see Saturn's rings and when you see galaxies, and the Orion Nebula is a very, very nice target. When you see these things with your own eyes, it changes your mindset about space, and that's mainly why I use that telescope. But yeah, I've used it, and I hope to use it again in the future when I have a little bit more time again. Thank you for the question. We have another question from Dean Fuchwalf. Someone wanted to go view the 150-meter Starship test when it goes. Where is the best public accessible place to view that? South Padre Island, probably, or Brownsville, because I'm pretty sure that when they do that 150-meter hop, everything around it will be sealed off, so you can't watch it from Highway 4. And the next spot where you could conveniently do it probably would be South Padre, because you can just look over the little bay that separates South Padre Island and the test site, and you should have a clear view. It gets hazy there, so it could be a little foggy or hazy or whatever, but you should have a clear view of the launch from over there, from a hotel, from a restaurant, something like that. There's lots of stuff there right next to the coast, and you can just go into the next restaurant and get a nice seat next to a window, and then watch the launch from there. That's what I would do. I've been there. Did a meetup on South Padre Island, and we watched the cryogenic test of serial number 2 when it occurred. That test tank that they used where they didn't build a full Starship. That's what we watched from a restaurant there while the meetup was going on. That was pretty cool. So you got a clear view of the of the launch site. It's super tiny, but it's 3.5, 4 miles away, I think. So it should be perfect for launch viewing. Good question, thank you. And I'm pretty sure in the future, once this takes off, there will be a fairly big amount of people building launch galleries where you can watch and all that kind of stuff that actually already exists at the Cape. They're going to do that in Boca Chica as well. Once Starships launch there on a daily basis, that's what they're going to do. Let me check something real quick. Nope, SpaceX isn't up yet. So let me do some, and all the super chats. To all the people who I haven't mentioned yet with their super chats. Thank you. I see them popping up here, but I'm working on a list of questions that constantly come in. So thank you very much for the super chat. That's much appreciated. Stefan gave the super chat. I already had that. Happy Hacking Video Blog. Thank you. Bermos. Thank you for the super chat from that's Swiss Schweizer Franken. Love all your SpaceX videos. Greetings from Switzerland. There we go. Question number 8. We have Dean. I had that. Okay, that was the 150-meter Starship hop. We have a question from Amazing. Do you know what Zubrin's Society is doing for Mars? All sorts of stuff. Robert Zubrin is the president of the Mars Society, and they do all sorts of stuff, from researching in situ resource utilization, plant growing, how to build a base, propulsion research, which SpaceX probably won't need because they have the Raptor engine, but they are doing all sorts of stuff. They are doing talks with the public to evangelize the topic in public, get people into it. That's actually a major part of the Mars Society, is to actually just acquire new people for the cause. So all sorts of stuff. Look it up online. It's a really, really interesting thing, and there are people all over the world being part of the Mars Society. That's a really, really nice thing. Okay. Let me just check something real quick here. Okay, there we go. We have another super chat from Dean Fuqua. If someone wanted to go view that we had that already. There we go. Josh French, what gimbal do you use for your phone? Okay, that's a random question. It is a DJI Osmo Mobile 3, I think. That's the full name of it. It's 100 euros and dollars. It's about the same, and it does an awesome job stabilizing phones. So it's really, so you can even switch orientation, you can align it, and the lower part basically works like a joystick. So if you move this sideways, the phone will move. It's awesome. I used it in Boca Chica to do the live streams, and it worked fabulously. It has like a week of battery life. It's insane. I charged it once, and I did 3 live streams, and I just charged it because I was paranoid because it used one. It used up one. It has 4 LEDs down there to show you the battery power, and one of them turned off, and I was like, better be safe than sorry. So I charged it, and that's all that happens in 3 live streams and lots of filming at the Kennedy Space Center and everywhere. So that thing is, if you need a gimbal, that thing works. I got the tip from Gene from South Padre. I asked him how he gets the stable footage when he walks out to film the Starship, and he said, I use this thing, and I bought that too, and definitely I can recommend it. It works really nice. David Beal, thank you for the super chat. Is this a typical track for them to follow on launch? You mean the Starlink orbit? There are all sorts of different Starlink orbits. In the end, Starlink will be all over the globe, so you have to have all sorts of different orbits. And today's orbit goes over Europe. It's always different. So there is no typical Starlink orbit. It's different every time. They're doing the elliptical launches right now, so they so you can tell if it's an elliptical orbit if they separate super fast after launch. It's like 15 minutes into the flight, they separate, and that's it. Cut off the stream, and So it'll be a quick stream again tonight for SpaceX, because they normally go offline after separation, and that it's like 15 minutes into flight, so you don't see the fairing recovery, because that's 45 minutes down the line. So but yeah, it's there are no, as far as I know, there are no typical Starlink orbits. It's always something different. It's always a different orbit insertion, should be at least. So today's orbit goes over Europe. That's the cool thing about today. If you're in Europe or Hawaii will see that. Should be early in the morning for Hawaii. No, actually, should be in the night as well. For if somebody from Hawaii is in the stream, you should be able to see it in Hawaii as well, about roughly 1.5 hours after launch. Roughly, you should be able to see it in Hawaii and Europe, 30 minutes after launch. So we're gonna try. Like I said, I don't know if it's gonna work, but we're gonna try. I'm gonna get you outside and show you the Starlink satellites. Robbie Craig, thank you for the super chat. That's much appreciated. Enjoy your broadcast. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I will. I'm planning to do a lot more uploads in the future. I've got some very, very nice things planned. So today I had the Peter Beck interview. Next week I'll interview Rusty Schweikert, Apollo 9 astronaut. The week after, I'm interviewing a company from Finland, I think. They're working on satellite debris removal, because I'm still working on an episode about satellite debris removal and about all the space debris that is out there, and what the situation is and what we can expect if we don't do anything. But it's a pretty serious topic, actually. And so I've got all sorts of stuff coming up. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for the super chat. We have Roman Joe with a question. Have you ever experienced zero gravity on a zero-G flight? No, I haven't. I have not been on the Vomit Comet, and I would love to do it. Maybe that's a goal for the future. I would love to do it. It's amazing when you see these people fly in that spacecraft. I've heard it's pretty expensive, but I would love to do it. So no, I haven't done it yet, but it's on the bucket list, definitely. And Steven Hartzmann, German, there you go, from Ulm, and he's saying clear skies, exactly. Over here too, there's no cloud in the sky, so it should be a perfect evening to watch the Starlink satellites. So that's what we're going to try. Itai Aharonhi, oh my god, I'm sorry. Can you add to your videos dates when you're showing photos or videos? I don't know what you mean. If you could clarify, and one of them tag the moderators again when you clarify, I'll try to answer that again. I don't know what you mean. Or do you mean actual dates of the videos I am showing? I could do that, but that would be a lot of extra work, because for every picture and every video, I would have to ask. Most of the Starship footage I use is from NASA Spaceflight, from Boca Chica gal, from Mary. I had a talk with her when I was in Boca Chica, and I would have to ask her for every single snippet that I use on the episode. So that's probably not going to happen. It's very, very recent, though. It's normally not older than 3 days, and if it is, I'll say this is from serial number 3, or this is from last year. But if it says it's serial number 4, for example, right now, that is footage from like 2 days ago normally. So it's very, very recent. Professor Panda, thank you for the super chat. I live on a sailboat here in Florida Keys, struggling just like the rest of us, but wanted to contribute what I could. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very, very much. So you'll be watching the launch probably. You'll be able to see it from there, right? Thank you for the super chat, and enjoy the launch in not too much time. You see the counter, 25 minutes. So you should be able to see it from there, from the Florida Keys. That's awesome. Thank you. We have another question from Patrick Matiasik. When will be rollout from high bay for serial number? Who knows? Should be tomorrow, because there's road closures planned tomorrow, the next day, and the day after. But initially, I thought that would be the dates they would use for static fires and maybe even a hop. And then on the last closure date, nothing happened. So that was the 20th, I think, if I remember correctly, and nothing happened. I expected the rollout to happen then. They've been working on the launch site a lot since then, so they've been upgrading all sorts of stuff. They've even erected a radio tower recently at the launch site. And maybe that has to do with them not rolling out the serial number 4 test tank section yet. But I don't know. I have no internal information. And the next possible date for a road closure would be tomorrow. And I'm crossing my fingers that they're going to do it tomorrow, because I want to see it tested as well. And I want to see it pass the test. Okay. We have a question from David Little. What percentage of Earth gravity is necessary? For what? Oh, for... so probably you mean so you don't take any serious damage? 1G. The problem is... Or maybe 0.9, 0.8. The problem is the longer you're exposed to lower gravity than we have on our planet, the more... side effects you'll have. Even if it's just a little bit less, it'll over time cause damage, and that's the problem. So the lower you go with the gravity, and on Mars you have a third of Earth gravity, I think. The lower you go with the gravity, the quicker these effects will show, but they will show at 0.6, 0.7, 0.8. I'm not too sure when it actually stops and where the body is just fine with it. But I wouldn't even be surprised if you even had side effects after a while at 0.9 Gs. And that's the problem. We're made for 1 G. And anything else is not what we're made for, and anything else has to be coped with. So active training and possibly artificial gravity. But the only reliable artificial gravity we right now have is spinning around, and that is really hard to do on Mars. I mean, you can do it, but you need big, large facilities to spin a whole station around on Mars, and we're far away from that when we land for the first time. You'd need a lot of launches to get anything like that going on Mars. So for the first few years, maybe even decades, we'll have to deal with Mars's low gravity, and that's going to be a problem. I'm pretty sure it's going to be lots of exercise for the colonists. All of them will be really beefy. They'll have to train a lot. Good question. Thank you. Andreas Vasiliauskas. Thank you very much for the super chat. Good job. Very informative content. Thank you very, very much. I'm putting a lot of effort into it, and I'm enjoying what I'm doing. It's fabulous. Thank you all for watching. Sherry Beckett, another super chat. Hello from Pocatello, Idaho, USA. Love your broadcast. Thank you for all you do. You're very, very welcome. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the super chat. We have a question from Greg Weber. I understand Elon Musk wants to reuse 9 times for a total of 10 flights. Right now, some have gone up 5 times, and when will one get to its 6th launch? So we had one that went up 5 times, but it didn't land again. So that's it for that booster. Today is number 4, is launch number 4 for the booster that goes up today. It's launch number 4, and I think that's the furthest we have right now. So if that launches again, we'll be at 5 again, and so on and so forth. And the initial goal was to go 10 launches and then serious refurbishment on the boosters. I think that was the initial goal, but it looks more like the numbers are a little bit lower. But still, it's the only rocket in the world that can fly even twice. So, or orbital rocket in that regard. And so it's an achievement. With every landing that is successful is one landing more than the competition has ever done. So yeah, it's a milestone every time. It doesn't matter how many times a booster has flown. Every landing is one more than the competition. Keep that in mind. So it's an awesome thing that they can actually do this. Devin Dykstra. The plan is for serial number 5 or serial number 6 to have flaps right? Hopefully we will see one of those do a hop or a belly flop and landing. Okay, serial number 4 is going to do the static fire and the 150-meter hop if it passes the cryogenic test, of course. Serial number 5, I think Elon tweeted a few days ago, I even had that on an episode, is going to have bodyworks, so flaps and nose cone. And then belly flop maneuvers would in theory be possible. But I think they're gonna be careful with that. I had that on the episode that it might maybe have a belly flop maneuver, which is possible, but I wouldn't be surprised if serial number 5 then would go for the 20-kilometer flight, which would be awesome in its own. And then after that, they'll do another 20-kilometer flight where they'll try a little bit of belly flop maneuver, and then so on and so forth. So serial number 6 could be realistic for a belly flop, but only if everything works. If the cryogenic tests pass and if nothing serious happens. And so far, every time something serious has happened. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'm in the beginning, I was much more enthusiastic about every prototype rolling out. I was like, yeah, this one's gonna do it, and then it didn't. And so I'm gonna wait for the cryogenic test before I make any serious predictions about flights, because right now that is the great filter. We'll have to pass that, and once we've done that, we'll be able to estimate sometimes. And I think that's what Elon does as well. He's saying that serial number 5 will have flaps and a nose cone, but it's really hard to predict because of the cryogenic tests. So that's the next big thing, is the cryo test. So if that happens, if they roll out tomorrow and then maybe the next day they do the testing, cross your fingers that serial number 4 passes it, because then we're past that milestone and we can actually continue with the more exciting stuff. Because to be honest, I've seen enough cryogenic tests. I want more, and I'm really, really hoping that this time is going to happen. But like I said, it's really, really hard to predict. Good question. Thank you. We have another question from the Exoplanets channel. Do you think moving to Mars will contaminate the environment and difficult the search for alien life? Yes. But if we want to explore, if we want to be sure that life existed on Mars, in my opinion, we'll have to go there, because robotic exploration works. Of course, we've done it, but it takes a robot 2 years to do what a human does in a day. And so if we keep it at robots, we'll be poking holes into the ground and maybe never find anything. And if we actually send a mission with people to Mars, we'll be able to do imagine a team of like 5, 6, 7 researchers with the proper rovers and everything, which you could bring to Mars with a Starship, just exploring, doing excursions, analyzing, taking ground samples and all that stuff. They'd achieve in a week what the robotic explorations have done in the past 15 years on Mars. So if we really want to analyze Mars, and if we really want to make sure that life has existed or hasn't existed on Mars, I think, in my opinion, we'll have to go there. Yes, we'll contaminate it, but we already have. Even the rovers have in some way contaminated Mars, and if the more you poke in, the more you'll contaminate it. So if we want to poke in more, we'll have to contaminate it. It's a paradox, and it would be good if it wasn't, but that's the way it is. So I know the argument, but I think it's not a valid one, because especially if we want to make a colony on Mars, we're going to contaminate that thing so much. It's just unavoidable. You can't make a colony that is completely sealed up and that doesn't contaminate anything. So that's the way it is, and we'll definitely contaminate Mars the more we poke in. As simple as it is. Good question. Thank you. Deathness guy. No. We have another super chat from Stefan. You always deliver, Felix. You rock. Thank you very, very much. And we have another from another Stefan, this time with a PH though, Stefan Nankaro. Thank you very much for the super chat. Love your work and dedication. Thank you. We have Greg Drinkwater. Thanks for all you do. Thank you for the super chat. We have Mike. Thank you very much. Don't forget Gwynny. I don't know ever. Thank you, Mike. Gary to Fake Eye. Super chat. Thank you. Thanks for the content. Always enjoy. Thank you very much for watching. We have wow, Robert. Thank you for the super chat. He's one of my patrons anyway. So thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you. That's awesome. Carol Kozlovsky. Thank you for the super chat. Good luck. Yeah, good luck with a cross your fingers for the cryo test. I really want this thing to pass the cryo test. I'm gonna go mad if it doesn't. Mukul Yadav, thank you for the super chat. Will you go to Mars? I've had that question before. I have family. A trip to Mars is 2 years until you're back. It's very, very dangerous. In the beginning, it will be especially dangerous. And I have 3 little kids at home. Probably not. But what I always say as an answer to this question is, if there is the possibility to go to the moon at one point, I will definitely, because that's a 2-week trip, and it should be pretty awesome to see an Earthrise on the moon's surface. So I would totally be up for that. But Mars is really far away, and in the beginning it will be really, really dangerous. So not with the family. Alone? I don't know. Even then, maybe it's gonna be super dangerous in the beginning, in my opinion. It's the first generation of colonists, maybe even the first 2-3 generations of colonists going to Mars will have to be tough people. It's gonna be super tough. You're gonna have radiation. You're gonna have there we go. The stream's coming up soon. So it's gonna be really, really tough. So I don't know. Maybe in 100 years, but then I'll probably be dead. So let me check something real quick. So you should have audio from the stream. Yes, you do. Let me turn that down a little bit here. And let me turn that down for me as well. There we go. Okay, we'll turn that up once actually something happens there. They're going to do their intro anyway, and we're 13 minutes away from the launch. Anybody who I haven't mentioned yet, anybody who's done a super chat, thank you, and I'll try to mention you after the launch. But keep in mind that we'll try to watch the Starlink satellites tonight, if it happens, if it works. So stay tuned. But thank you for the super chat. That is much appreciated. All right, I'm putting the chat up here so I can actually see what you guys type. 10-minute launch hold. No! Don't say anything like that. You're confusing me. We'll all still go. Don't listen to that person. That was evil. The booster land on the drone ship, or will it miss again? Yeah, it's a good question, Eris. I hope it'll land, of course, because I want to see the 10 launches on one booster as well, which would be totally epic. But the booster is doing its 4th launch today, so you'll never know. It's getting there. So, but yeah, it should. In theory, it should. I'm crossing my fingers, that's for sure. Hey, everybody. So awesome to see so many people watching. Thank you. It's incredible. And Rex, you're still missing on the Discord, by the way. Just want to say. Alright, let me look up something here real quick. They haven't started yet, so I'm gonna read out a few of the super chats. Pal9000, thank you. Love your content, Felix. Keep up the great work. Regards from Ireland. Thank you for the super chat. F Tice, thank you for the super chat. Felix, hello from Fred, and there we go. Anna Tice from Evesham, United Kingdom. Tom, thank you for the super chat. I'm gonna go through this real quick. Hiya Desert Garden, thank you. SGFX, thank you. Jason, thank you very, very much. MV, thank you very much. Rennie Rosengreen, thank you. It's awesome. Thank you. And we'll keep the questions, and I might be answering a few of those after the stream, but I can't promise because I'll try to watch the Starlink satellites with you. All right, let me bring this up real quick.
Falcon 9 as it awaits its 3:31 p.m. Eastern Time.
There we go.
39A at Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
So this is it.
Hello from SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. My name is Lauren Lyons, and I'm an engineer on the Starlink team here at SpaceX. And you are watching a live webcast for our 7th Starlink mission and our 7th mission this year. To date, we've launched over 360 Starlink satellites to orbit, and as a reminder, Starlink is a constellation of satellites that can provide high-speed, low-latency internet across the globe, particularly in remote areas where connectivity is limited or completely unavailable. The Falcon 9 booster that you see on your screen will be flying today for the 4th time. It previously supported Crew Dragon's first demonstration mission to the International Space Station back in March of 2019, the launch of the RadarSat constellation mission in June 2019, and the January 2020 launch of the Starlink mission. Just like our first stages, we are also starting to reuse our fairings. Today we are flying a reused fairing which previously flew on the Amos 17 mission last year. I mentioned that this booster flew on Crew Dragon's first demonstration mission to the space station, and if you follow SpaceX, you know the date for our second demo mission is May 27th. It'll be a historic mission launching American astronauts from U.S. soil to the International Space Station for the first time since 2011, and we'll touch on that more later on in the broadcast. If for any reason there is a hold on the countdown today, we do have a backup launch window opportunity tomorrow at 3:16 p.m. Eastern. So with that, all systems are go for an on-time liftoff this evening.
All right, there we go.
Now, you may recall during our last Starlink mission, there was an early engine shutdown on Falcon 9's first stage during Ascent. The Falcon 9 booster safely completed its mission as it was designed to in the event of an engine shutdown and delivered the satellites to their intended orbit. Since then, our engineers determined that the issue stemmed from a small amount of isopropyl alcohol, which is a cleaning fluid, that became trapped inside of a sensor dead leg, or an area where it couldn't flow through, and then it ignited. We did not perform that cleaning process on the rocket supporting today's mission, and all 9 Merlin engines, which were test fired on the pad just last week, are looking healthy ahead of flight. Prior to today's launch, the vehicle was housed in our hangar at Launch Complex 39A until about 24 hours ago, when the rocket, along with the Starlink payload, was rolled out to the pad and raised vertical. The bottom 2/3 of the vehicle that you can see there, that is the first stage. You can actually see the soot markings left over from its last flight. The first stage is what accelerates the vehicle through the Earth's atmosphere to the edge of space with the help of 9 Merlin engines at the base of the rocket. Today we'll be attempting to recover the first stage for the 4th time on our drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You, which you can see there. And it's currently stationed about 350 nautical miles northeast off the Cape. Above the first stage is the second stage, which has a single Merlin vacuum or MVAC engine, which ignites after the first stage separates. The second stage is what will carry the Starlink satellites into an elliptical orbit above the Earth's surface. From there, they'll use their propulsion systems to move up to their operational altitude of 550 kilometers. Falcon 9 began loading propellants at T-minus 35 minutes. And as a reminder, we use a rocket-grade kerosene, or RP1, as our fuel, and super chilled liquid oxygen, or LOX, as our oxidizer to power the Falcon 9. Currently, RP1 and LOX are nearly fully loaded on both stages, and LOX will continue to be topped off right up until the last minute of the countdown. The stack of 60 Starlink satellites is safely enclosed inside of the 17-foot diameter payload fairing, which you can see there, that pointed cone at the very top of the rocket. This protects the satellites from aerothermal heating, aerodynamic loads, and contamination during ascent. Once we reach the vacuum of space, we will jettison the fairing as the second stage continues on its journey to orbit. We won't be attempting to catch the fairing halves in our nets today, as our boat and fairing software are undergoing upgrades, but weather permitting, we will try to recover them from the water using our recovery ships Miss Tree and Miss Chief. And there's a live view from one of those ships. So as you can see, the water is looking a little rough, so stay tuned. Now, if you've been tracking the lead up to today's launch, you know that the weather has been a watch item for the last several days with tornado warnings moving through the area.
Yeah.
Our rocket and payload, however, were in the hangar as the storm passed, so we didn't see any adverse impacts as a result of that weather. And today, it's looking like a beautiful day for a launch. So with that, the vehicles, satellites, weather, and range are all looking good for an on-time liftoff just a few minutes from now.
Awesome. I've seen Ryan is on the chat. Hi, Ryan. Thanks for showing up. Everybody show your love for the Martian colonist.
As I mentioned at the top of the webcast, SpaceX and NASA are now targeting May 27 for Falcon 9's launch of Crew Dragon's second demonstration mission, or Demo 2 as we like to call it. This will be the first time that a commercially built spacecraft will launch people to the space station, and the first time in nearly 10 years that the U.S. has launched astronauts into space from U.S. soil. Demo 2 is an end-to-end flight test from launch to docking to splashdown, and it is the final major milestone for SpaceX's human spaceflight system to be certified for NASA for operational crew missions to and from the International Space Station. Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley will be the first two NASA astronauts to fly aboard Crew Dragon after completing countless hours of training, both at SpaceX and at NASA's training facilities. Both the spacecraft and the launch vehicle are at the Cape and undergoing preparations, and as you may have seen on social, Falcon 9 is getting a special paint job for the Demo 2 mission. That's right, NASA has brought back the famous worm logo. As you can see the logo painted on the Demo 2 Falcon 9 booster in this picture. The worm was brought back to mark the return of human spaceflight on American rockets from American soil with the Demo 2 mission. Once Demo 2 is complete, and the SpaceX and NASA teams have reviewed all the data for certification, NASA astronauts Victor Glover, Mike Hopkins, Shannon Walker, and Jackson astronaut Soichi Noguchi have been assigned to fly on Dragon's first 6-month operational mission, which we are calling Crew 1 and are targeting for later this year. So we are currently just over 4 minutes away from liftoff, and Falcon 9 is moving into the final stages of the countdown. The first and second stages are nearly fully loaded with 1 million pounds of kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen.
Every time I love how it's sitting there breathing on the pad. Absolutely awesome. By the way, of course, I'll be streaming the demo mission.
It's a clear, beautiful, gorgeous day out there.
On May 27th.
The first stage should finish prop loading at T-3 minutes, and the second stage at T-2 minutes. And as I mentioned earlier, liquid oxygen is going to continue to top off. Stage at T-2 minutes. And as I mentioned earlier, liquid oxygen is going to continue to top off up until just before liftoff. At T-60 seconds, be sure to listen for the call out that Falcon 9 is in startup. That means that the rocket's autonomous internal flight computers have taken over the launch countdown. The Starlink payload continues to be healthy. The Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues on the rocket. Weather is looking really good, and the range is green for launch. So with all that, let's just sit back and listen in to the last few minutes of the countdown.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. Good summary by SpaceX there. May 27th, you can bet that I'm going to stream that. So looking forward to that. It's going to be epic to see Doug and Bob go up in their Dragon capsule towards the ISS. That is going to be really, really nice. Tonight, though, we're going to have Starlink 6, and that should be equally epic. I'll never forget my one and only Falcon launch I've seen from Kennedy Space Center. That was CRS-20. That was just absolutely mind-blowing to see these go up with your own eyes. It's if you ever get the opportunity to do so, go to Florida and watch a rocket launch. It's incredible. So right now it's just sitting on the pad, breathing, doing a lot of stuff while it is sitting there. I don't have the schedule up, but there are places online where you can actually see the whole startup sequence. Falcon 9 startup. I don't know.
Stage 2 lock switch is closed out.
There we go. Don't know all of it out of my head, of course. Off the top of my head, that's how you say it. you go. That's a pretty good source. I'll just put that in here real quick. If anybody wants to read this, this is what's happening on a Falcon 9 launch. And there's a lot of stuff happening in the last 3 minutes, 1.5 minutes. Love when they sit there on the pad breathing and you see the condensate go off, and it's the last minute before the launch is always something special to me.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Fingers crossed.
I'll please go for launch.
He's hoping for a good launch, exactly. Seconds to go.
30 seconds.
Wow.
T-minus 15 seconds.
One. I'll just leave it like that. That's good.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff. Woohoo!
Here we go.
Falcon 9 pitching down range.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
Looking good. So good.
Power and telemetry
As
nominal.
you can see, Falcon 9 has had a successful liftoff from pad 39A. Moments ago, we throttled the engines down and we'll throttle back up just in a second for preparation for Max Q. Max Q stands for maximum aerodynamic pressure, which are the highest stresses that the vehicle will see during ascent.
Maximum aerodynamic pressure.
Now, coming up in about a minute, we will have 3 events happening back to back. First is main engine cutoff, or MECO. This is where all 9 M1D engines will shut off to slow the vehicle down in preparation for the second event, which is stage separation. This is where the second stage will separate from the first stage, with stage 1 making its way back down to Earth for landing, and stage 2 kicking off that third event that I mentioned, which is SES1, or Second Engine Start 1. This is where the MVAC engine will light up and propel the second stage along with the Starlink satellites to orbit. Expecting MECO to occur in about 30 seconds.
Yep, looks like a perfect launch so far. Since that launch, when they had the engine failure, looks good now.
MECO.
Yep.
Stage separation confirmed.
Nice.
Successful MECO.
Awesome.
Successful stage step. And it appears we have reignited or ignited that second stage engine for SES1.
That wasn't a reignition. Nice. Cool. Very nice.
Now we're
See
just
the
a few
coast of
seconds from
Florida
fairing
over there.
deploy. Again, this fairing has
Absolutely
flown
awesome.
before
I'm
on a
pointing
previous
towards
mission.
it, yeah. You see that on your monitor right there. Absolutely awesome.
Grid fins are opening up.
Fairing separation confirmed.
There we go.
And we
Nice.
have fairing separation.
And they are on their way
We
down
have successfully reused this fairing. Now those halves are making their way back down to the sea, where hopefully we can scoop them up.
That's the icing on the cake.
So on the left side of your screen, you have stage 1, which is making its way down to the drone ship. And on the right, you have stage 2, that MVAC engine burning with 250,000 pounds of thrust.
There we go. Good job.
The
Absolutely
grid fins
awesome.
appear to be fully deployed at this point. Now, while stage 2 continues on with the primary mission, stage 1's got its own plans. It's going to execute 2 burns prior to landing. The first is the entry burn. That's where we will reignite 3 of the M1D engines, which will help slow the stage down as it re-enters the upper part of the Earth's atmosphere. Shortly thereafter, we'll have a second burn, which we call the landing burn. This is a single engine burn that brings the vehicle's velocity down rapidly in order to land safely on the drone ship. At the same time, during that burn, you'll see the landing legs that are currently folded up along the side of the rocket are going to deploy.
Let me just real quick turn this down a little bit. On a return to launch site, at night at least, you can see both of these burns from the ground, which is epic.
We can still see the plume coming out, and we're still hearing good data. So while we're 2 minutes away
Stage
from
2 is
entry
on a normal
burn,
trajectory.
just a note on these Starlink satellites, these 60 will be joining the constellation that's already on orbit. As we mentioned, we've launched more than 360 satellites. And again, these are to provide high-speed, low-latency internet to people down on that globe that you see on the right side of your screen.
Very nice view there.
The MVAC engine on stage 2 is at full power and on a nominal trajectory.
And that second stage is right now heading
Now, as
towards
stage 1
the...
is making its way down, again, there are no engines burning while it's doing this. It's basically coasting, using the grid fins to steer, and you can see those white puffs occasionally. That's cold nitrogen gas that is being used for attitude control, part of our ACS system, or attitude control system.
That's correct. The second stage right now is heading over the Atlantic towards the west coast of Europe. So it's heading towards the night side of the planet. Yeah, you can see the booster slowly
Okay, that
going,
entry burn should
tipping
be
back
coming
in.
up here in about 15 seconds. Meanwhile, stage 2 continues on as planned.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
Stage 1 FTS is safe.
This burn goes for about
Beautiful.
20 seconds. Four engines burning at once right
Stage
now.
2 continues to follow a nominal trajectory.
Beautiful.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
All right, successful shutdown of that entry burn. Meanwhile, stage 2 is looking great.
It's looking great. She does kind of a cheesy comment there. It's all good though so far. Everything looks nominal.
All right,
Should be
full
good for a
screen
landing.
shine here. There we go. Now this burn on stage 2 is going to continue up until you hear the call out of SECO 1, or second engine cutoff 1. You're going to hear that pretty quickly after landing.
Stage 1 entry transonic.
All right, MVAC D is beginning to throttle down, getting ready for that second engine cutoff.
And then comes only the coast to the
Stage
deploy.
1 landing burn startup.
Entering terminal guidance.
Come on.
All right, that landing burn has started. Let's see if we can see the plume
Good
in the view
picture.
from the drone ship.
Come on. Starting to shake.
Stage 1, landing leg deploy.
Stage 2 FTS is safe.
There it is.
Yes.
Let's see. We have cheers.
Yes.
We have a
nice.
rocket.
Perfect. There it is again.
Awesome. This is
Absolutely
the fourth
awesome.
landing for this booster.
Every time.
And as you can hear,
Absolutely awesome.
everybody here is super stoked to see it there. It's great. Gorgeous day. Woo! Gorgeous rocket.
Awesome.
All right. And we have second engine cutoff on stage 2.
That
And
looks so easy.
we are in a good orbit as well.
Nominal orbital insertion.
All right, so now stage 2 is going to coast in this orbit for a few minutes, and during this time, the stage will actually start to spin around its central
Absolutely
axis,
awesome.
which gives the Starlink satellites the momentum that they need in order to space themselves out over time after
Yeah.
they deploy. We're going to take a quick break and come back here at T plus 14 minutes.
All right, thank you. All right, we just for a fraction of a second we saw the tank cam again from inside the LOX tank, where you could see the oxygen on the bottom of the tank. Sometimes they show that. I'm gonna turn down the volume here real quick. Give me a second. So there we go. Good launch. Good re-entry. Good landing. Now it's coasting, and as you can see, its trajectory is going right for Europe. And on the return orbit, it should actually be possible to see it from the United States there. Oh, that... yeah, looks like it. Yeah, looks like it. That would be awesome. So, but then that would be still daytime in the United States when they pass over, but the next time you should be able to say it, probably. But that goes over the Gulf. That's what I predicted as well, right? Yeah, it goes over Hawaii and then the Gulf of Mexico, and it looks kind of... It's really hard to see it from here. On the website that the moderators have posted in the chat as well. Let me just turn down this volume a little bit more. There we go. There we go. On the link that the moderators have posted in the chat, there's a tracking website where you can actually track the satellites, and that should give you a better idea. That here in this animation it's kind of hard to see where the orbit is actually going through, but like I said, Europe should have a really good chance tonight to see the Starlink stream like right after separation. I think separation should occur. If it doesn't occur above Italy or something, it's kind of hard to say right now. Does anybody know if the coast phase goes all the way to where it turns blue? That would make sense, and that would probably mean it separates right up above my head or something. We'll have to wait and see. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but you should be able to see it. I hope you should be able to see it. Let me check something real quick. Hard to tell. We'll have to wait and see. I didn't actually anticipate the separation to be so late. I thought the separation would be more over the Atlantic Ocean, but right now it looks like the separation could be a little bit further downrange, and then would still pass over Germany though. Well, not really. We'll have to wait and see. We'll keep an eye on it and see if we can see the Starlink satellites, because I would love to see them. That's for sure. I got everything set up here. I got the microphone. I'm already mic'd up. I did that right before the launch. So it looks like the separation occurs above Europe. I'll be running downstairs if it does. I will have to wait and see if anybody has information where actually the separation occurs, because it's really hard to say on this diagram. Because if it happens like over Greece, I won't have to run outside and try to spot the Starlink satellites with you people. It's hard to tell though, so we'll have to wait and see. I'll turn my camera. I'll make it a little bit bigger. There we go. Now you can, and I'll see you later, Starman. I'm sorry. So there we go. Yeah, you can see that.
We have had a successful mission thus far. We've had it at stage 1, ascent and landing, and stage 2 got the Starlink satellites into a good orbit and is now coasting and getting ready for deployment of those Starlink satellites. So we're going to listen in for the call out. It should come in about 30 seconds or so. We won't be able to see that right at that moment. We'll cut to the shot of the satellites deploying a little bit later, but in about 20 seconds we should hear the call out.
Yeah, it definitely does look like the separation is somewhere above Turkey or something. Oh no, actually it's, yeah, forget what I was saying. It's happening right now, and I was absolutely correct. So we should be able to see the Starlink satellites. There we go. That's what I researched. Thank you. All right. And then this was maybe 10 minutes from now. Maybe.
Payload deploy confirmed.
Maybe 10 minutes from now. Yeah.
Okay, we just heard the call out for payload deploy.
Exactly.
Now, as the satellites begin to separate over time, they're going to open up their solar array, and over the next, oh, there they go.
See you soon.
All right, that's those 60 Starlink satellites.
Awesome.
Look at that cool glow around them. Wow.
Yeah. Go and ask the astronomers about
Now,
the cool glow.
Shortly after, as I was saying, after just coming up in the next, few hours or so, we're going to see the solar arrays deploy. And over the next days and weeks, the satellites will begin to distance themselves away from one another and use their onboard ion thrusters to make their way to their operational orbit of 550 kilometers. Sorry, that image just is always so beautiful and catches me each time. Now, with that, it brings our webcast to a close. We'd like to thank the 45th Space Wing for providing range safety today and the FAA for licensing today's launch. You can follow our website and social media platforms for updates on our next missions and milestones. So until next time, be well, and we'll see you next launch.
Thank you very much, SpaceX. Okay, awesome. Absolutely fantastic launch. Let me turn this down real quick here. There we go. So absolutely fantastic textbook launch. Everything went fine. Booster landed, booster recovered. Next thing would be the fairings, which they will try to catch in about half an hour. So that's how long it takes the fairings to actually go down again. That's in about half an hour. And we are going to go outside and see the Starlink satellites. I'd say in about 5 minutes or so, I should be able to see them out here, if they're visible. And I hope they will be. No, we're not gonna watch that, even though it's a fantastic video. So let me just go here again and try something out real quick, because this is, I'll have to set up the camera. Now this is my trusty smartphone camera that those who went to see who watched the, wait, let me just turn this a bit smaller for you, who watched the celebration live stream. I used that camera to show my studio, and I will now switch the microphone if I can. It might be that you hear my voice double for a second. I hope not, but it's kind of hard to manage here. Give me a second. So, at some point, we should have a signal. Okay, this is turned off. So now you're on this microphone, and I can turn this can take nice Corona hair, by the way. All the what's the English word for it? Hair cutters. They are all closed right now, and the hair is growing and growing, and I can't change it. So I'm very, very sorry for the Corona style hair. So now I have the mobile camera, and I have. You should be able to hear me clearly. Give me a quick shout out on the chat if you can hear me. Barber, thank you very much. So you can hear hairdresser, barber, everything's fine, and I didn't know the word. I'm sorry. So you should be able. Volume is low. Somebody says volume is low. Let me correct that if I can. I can't, but I can do that here. I think. Give me a second. Let me see if I can switch that for you. Here. Test, 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 test. This is super low, and this should be as high as it goes, basically. So I'll probably have to talk a little louder, but it should work. You should be able to hear me. And in theory, this guy here I should be able to get reception with that downstairs. If that doesn't work, the camera might be the only thing you see, but I'll be back in like 5 minutes or so, because the satellites should be passing over here really soon, and I won't be able to see the chat, so you'll just have to listen to what I say, and I'll take you on a little tour through the house here. And let me see if real quick, give me a second. There's no update there, so it's really, really hard for me to say when actually they'll be above my head, but it should be rather soon. It should be in 3-4 minutes maybe. So I'll go outside now, and I hope you'll stay online and watch this with me, and I'll actually try to show you the Starlink satellite. So stay with me. I gotta switch the camera to full screen here, of course. Give me a second. There we go. So this is the trusty IV cam, as it says in the upper corner, and I really, really hope that the network's actually gonna work and that you're actually gonna be able to see this. Starman, you're gonna go away. There we go. All right then. I'll go downstairs with you. I'll just keep talking, and this should work. I really, really hope it does. So there we go. Oh, it's all dark out here. Give me a second. There we go. So this is downstairs. Going down there, and I hope my wife is just gonna come outside, scream to me if I lose reception, because I don't even know if I lose reception. I don't see anything of you. There's Streaming Cat right there. There's my car. Hey guys. So this is outside Germany, and we have a clear sky. Look at that. You should be. We don't need that. There we go. So you should still be able to see me, and from roughly that direction over there should be where the Starlink satellites appear. That's Venus up there, I'm pretty sure. And there we go. That's it. I don't know if you can see it, and I really, really hope you do, but that is the Starlink train right there, just above my head. I really, really hope that you guys can see this. It says, I'm trying to aim as good as I can, and you can clearly see it move above my head right there. That is absolutely awesome. Thank you so much, SpaceX. Look at that. I hope you can see this. I really, really hope you guys can see this. This is absolutely awesome. It's outside. There's a motorcycle driving by. That is the Starlink satellites right above my house. They're above, and you hear my kids in the background because they are watching too. This is absolutely ridiculously awesome. Look at that, guys. That's it. Oh, and the camera has a hard time tracking. Yeah, I hope it's going to move that way now. It's my wife and my daughter in the background, by the way. So did they actually hear me? Can they hear and see me? Perfect. Okay. That's it. That's the Starlink satellites from the backyard. There you go. Isn't that awesome? That is space right there in the backyard. That is absolutely awesome. There you go. Now they're gonna disappear beyond the roof of the neighbor's house. Absolutely awesome. We saw the Starlink train live from the backyard of What About It. Where do you get that? Right? Absolutely awesome. They're disappearing. There you go. They're gone. All right then. That was absolutely awesome. I'm gonna come upstairs again. Absolutely awesome. So there we go. That's my little son right there, and he's wondering what we're doing out here, we crazy space nerds. And we're going upstairs again. Absolutely awesome. Nee, du bleibst unten. Du gehst nach unten. Ich bin noch nicht fertig. All right, so here we go. Back into the studio. There we go, guys. Here's my studio again. This absolutely worked. This is crazy. I really, really hope you guys were able to see this. I'm going to switch to the other camera again. This was absolutely ridiculously awesome. I saw the Starlink train right after launch. That is right? Absolutely cool. Just let me turn off the camera real quick. I don't know if you could actually see it from down there. I hope so. I'm going to jump into the chat. Did you see it? Did you see it from the camera? Yes, it worked. Absolutely awesome. Let me switch back to the Rode mic here real quick. There we go. Okay, that is something, right? From the garden of What About It, you saw the Starlink train. It is absolutely ridiculous. Super beautiful. I've never seen it so early after launch either. They were just super close together. You couldn't even see the train. It was just a very, very short line. Wow, I'm stoked. This is an awesome highlight of the stream right there. You only get that at What About It. That kind of dedication only exists on my channel. We actually did it. Woo! Awesome. Okay, I would have time for a few more questions. I'm just seeing this right now from Manpreet. I'm from Germany, right in the middle of Germany, and they, as I predicted, they passed right overhead. Absolutely awesome. Very, very nice that you were able to see it. Absolutely awesome. Right after separation, like 5 minutes later, and there we go. Starlink train above the house. That is SpaceX. That is something you can only get with SpaceX. I'm absolutely stoked right now. Thank you for the super chat. That was absolutely awesome, wasn't it? Okay, I'm still like super stoked. That was so awesome that this actually worked. Thanks for the super chat. That's coffee money. Thank you very, very much. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, I've got tons and tons of questions here from you people that I haven't answered yet. And I'll try to answer at least a few more before I go offline, because like I said in the beginning of the live stream this morning, I had an interview with Peter Beck, 10 in the morning. So that's 8 in the morning. I started preparation for that. 7 in the morning I got up, and then I've been working a little bit more, and it's now 10 in the evening over here. So I won't be streaming for another hour, but at least I'll try to get out some more answers too, because you've had a lot of questions again, and I always like answering some of those, so I'll try to answer a few more of those. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you. That is much appreciated. I'm so looking forward to seeing once the stream ends. I'm of course gonna look at the replay, and I'm gonna see what you guys saw, because I was standing outside. I had no way of seeing what you see, so I wasn't even sure if you can actually see it. I'm definitely gonna look at that replay. Absolutely awesome. Yep, and you were there live. Absolutely awesome. Very, very, very cool. All right, let me see if I can answer a few more of those questions here real quick. And I don't know if I've skipped any questions. Please don't be mad with me, because tonight is a lot of improvisation, and it was a lot brighter than Venus, actually. Yeah, much brighter. Venus is very, very bright tonight, but the Starlink train puts that to shame. It's absolutely awesome. Okay, we had a question from VM Fox. How many sets do they need to start the internet service? I heard that they're going to start the internet service mid this year, so that would be 400, I think. 400, 500. I don't have a number, but that should be around where they can actually start providing minimal service coverage. That doesn't mean the whole world will have Starlink in the middle this summer, so that'll take a little longer. The coverage initially will be United States and Canada, I think, and from there they'll grow, so it'll take a while. But yeah, it starts this summer, basically. I think that's what I heard. So it's very close. Thank you for the super chat, Steve and Chris. That is much appreciated. Thank you very, very much. It's so awesome that we were able to see the Starlink train. Woo! Absolutely stoked. Really, really cool. I'm definitely going to try that again. That was just absolutely awesome. I'm still totally stoked. Okay. We have a question and another super chat. Thank you, John Noel. Thank you very, very, very much. It's much appreciated. Steve, the hardest guy, howdy. No, howdy is part of the question. Howdy again from Texas, Felix. Move to Texas instead of Florida, closer to Starship launches. We were actually debating whether to move to Florida or to Texas. Right now, everything's on hold because the president of the United States has, like yesterday or the day before, canceled any immigrations right now. So there's nothing possible right now. So we'll have to wait and see. But we're gonna go to Florida because that's closer to the Cape. I know Boca Chica is going to be very, very important in the future, and I'll be taking a lot of plane flights down to Boca Chica to Texas. You can bet on that. But I want to be at the Cape. I want to be in Florida. I love Florida, actually. I know in summer it gets so insanely hot that you can barely get out the door, but it's such a beautiful place. I really do like Florida. So I think it's if we move to the States, which is still not completely safe, but we're working on it, it'll probably be Florida. I'm sorry, Texas, but you'll have me like at least twice or three times a year. I'm going to take the trip down to Boca Chica through Houston and check out one of my favorite places in the world. Boca Chica was absolutely awesome. Anyone who can go there, go there. It's worth it. It especially now where everything's still so open and you can approach them so closely there. You can stand right next to the Starhopper, basically on the other side of the street, and it's absolutely worth it. It's worth it. I've had people saying, yeah, it's an 8-hour trip. If you're interested at all, do the 8-hour trip. Maybe separate it into 2 days or something. See something nice on the way. It is worth it to go down to Boca Chica, definitely. So if you can, go. It's awesome. How does the Felix Ocampo asks, how does the Starship get electric power? Does it have a nuclear reactor generator? I think the nuclear generator can be cancelled out because SpaceX is a private company. They'll have a hard time building anything like a reactor. I've had an episode about that where I covered a lot of different topics. There are quite a few different ways how you can produce electricity in space. So dig into my, I think it's in the Space News playlist. It has, the thumbnail is Nuclear Starship. Half the episode is about exactly that question. I didn't cover all of the options, and it's an older episode, if you can say that on my channel, so the quality is not as good as it is now, but it's still worth it, and I did my research, so watch that. That should clear up a lot of your questions. Even though I'm saying again, for example, I didn't have the Stirling engine in there, which is ridiculous in my opinion. And nowadays I would, because it's a very viable option. But back then I didn't cover it in my research, and so on and so forth. But it covers a lot of the answers, and it's an interesting episode until today. So watch that. That'll clear a lot of your questions about that. What about it? Maybe we can see the rocket depending on the trajectory. Clear skies. Oh yeah. Well, we just saw the Starlink train. I can't curse here, but damn, that was awesome. Absolutely stoked still. Absolutely cool. Okay, there's lots of questions about when we're going to see the Starlink satellites on the replay of the live stream. John Doe, any news about the failure last time? Elon Musk tweeted that they have covered the problem with the engine failure they had, and they also said that I think they stated the reason why the booster didn't land. I can't remember from the top of my head though. Sorry, I think I've had that on an episode, but if one of the moderators can help out there, that would be much appreciated, because I'm pretty sure that Elon stated it was winds, upper level winds, something like that. I'm not too sure though. I'm sorry. I don't know it off the top of my head. So if one of the moderators can step in there, that would be much appreciated. Thank you. The satellites going east to south, right? The satellites right now are going. The English words. Northwest to southeast. That should be roughly correct. Not like crazy southeast, but slightly southeast. That should be correct. Richard Jacobson. Can a Falcon 9 land with one engine out? Yes, it should be. It should be able to. The landing burn is just being done with one engine anyway. It's one Merlin engine lighting up for the landing burn. So that should be easily replaced by two engines running at 50% thrust. I'm pretty sure that should be possible. I don't know the facts, because I'm not Elon Musk and I haven't built the rocket, but it should definitely be possible. It's a redundant system because it has plenty engines, so it should definitely be possible. With if the center engine fails, other engines will take over and replace the thrust. It should be possible. The woman spoke of it. Somebody says that on the... it's so hard for me. I'm really, really sorry if I don't read all of the chat and at the same time the questions. Sometimes I wish I had 4 eyes for these live streams. It's really hard for me because I have three monitors here with information going in on me. So, T plus 9 minutes and 15 seconds. Somebody's pointing out we should look at that. Let me... T... 9. Oh wow, that was a good one. 9. What did you say? 9:15. Is that? It's always nice to see something. Oh yeah, that's the camera inside the LOX tank, showing the remaining oxidizer inside the tank. You can see videos of that for like, I don't know, 30 seconds or something. On if you what do you punch into YouTube for that? SpaceX LOX tank cam, something like that, should come up with these kinds of shots for at least 30 seconds or something. It's really, really nice to see. That's the fuel inside in this case it's the oxidizer. I'm pretty sure that should be the LOX tank. That's the oxidizer in the tank of the Falcon booster. So that is an epic shot, and I always love that. Yeah, in this case they had it accidentally in there. I'm pretty sure because it showed up for half a second or so. But it's always fun to see that. Okay, let me try to answer a few more of these questions here. I'm jumping around on the monitors, as I said. Amazed at the amount. Happy hacking video blog. Thank you for the super chat. I'm amazed at the amount of claps at successful landing. Yeah, nobody really worried about COVID-19. Well, it's essential, and they're allowed to be in that room, and so they cheer for their rocket, and I can understand it, and I would be cheering too. So give him that moment of clapping in these times. I mean, it's crazy right now what's going on in Germany. I don't know what's happening in the country where you are from, but here everything is on lockdown, and I haven't barely seen any other people outside of this household for the last at least 4 weeks, and I'm really, really hoping that this is going to go away soon. I'm fed up with it, as many of you are probably as well. But that's the thing we have to do right now is to socially to do the social separation, and it's starting to work as well. But we can make an exception for the people at SpaceX. That is, they are doing an awesome job, and they can have their moment of clapping when the rocket lands. Absolutely awesome work today. Dimik Dragat, thank you for the super chat. Keep up the good work, Felix. Thumbs up. I will. Thank you. Okay, I think I'm gonna wrap up the stream now, because like I said, I've had a long day of work, and it's been rather exhausting, and I'm gonna sleep very, very good tonight. It was absolutely awesome to see the Starlink train with you guys. Tomorrow, hopefully, we're going to have the Peter Beck interview on my channel, so there's not going to be a regular episode tomorrow with a Starship update, which is going to come on Monday, but we're going to have two more interviews this week. Tomorrow we'll have Peter Beck talking about latest on Electron and Photon, and I covered a lot of topics with him, very, very interesting. And on Saturday we'll have the conclusion of the Robert Zubrin interview. So you'll have two more uploads this week. Busy week. Lots of fun doing these interviews, and I hope to do more in the future. I've got an Apollo astronaut, Rusty Schweikert, who I'm going to do an interview with really soon. He went with Apollo 9, so that is absolutely awesome. I'm really, really stoked about that. And like I said in the beginning of the stream, I think I said it already, that I'm going to do more interviews with companies about space debris. Working on a bigger project with a hopefully well-researched episode about space debris. It's a tough topic, but it's a very, very interesting one. And so I really want to cover it. I've talked to scientists, I've talked to people at ESA who actually monitor space debris and so on and so forth. And I'm going to have an interview in there with a company that works on solutions to maybe get rid of the space debris and all that kind of stuff. So that's coming up to as well. So there's a lot of stuff in the pipeline. If you haven't done so yet, like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Thank you to all of those who did super chats tonight. That helps. It really does help a lot. Buy a t-shirt if you want to. The merch store is linked on the channel, and if you want to have access to the Discord, there's a lovely bunch of people in there by now. It's a really, really nice community, all about space, and sometimes the occasional joke. And I'm on there every day basically. And if you want to, go to patreon.com. The moderators will give you a link. I'm pretty sure it's constantly in there somewhere. It's $1 per month, and you get access to the Discord. That is basically. I call it troll money because it is there to keep the trolls out of the Discord, and it actually works pretty well. It's a really, really nice community in there, so I'd be happy to see you there. And until tomorrow's Peter Beck interview, I hope you're gonna have a really nice night. Thank you very much for joining the stream, and as always, I'm gonna turn on a little bit of music here for you to chill out for another 10 minutes or so, and I'll see you on the next episode. Goodbye.
Everywhere you go, light follows. Everywhere you go, light follows. Light follows.